Shri Ranjani from class 7 and today me and my friends Aakash, Sathvika and Adithya are going to explain about forest. Plants and trees vary in height and sizes. Plants that are above the stem like branches, leaves, fruits, flowers, etc. are collectively known as the crown. The crowns too vary depending on the type of the tree. The forest crown is covered with various shrubs and herbs. Many lives dwell in the forest trees but dwell in different heights. Depending on the type of the height, type of the animal that lives in the tree's height, the forests are divided into layers. Emergent layer, canopy layer, understory layer and forest floor. Emergent layer. The branches of the tallest trees are collectively called as the emergent layer. These trees lie at a very great height, like 40 meters above the ground. This layer also gets abundance of sunlight as it is located very high. And birds like hawks and eagles live at this height as it is easy to spot the prey. Canopy layer. This layer is formed when trees grow close to each other. This causes the trees to look like a roof over the remaining two layers. The canopy layer grows from 20 to 40 meters above the ground surface. It is rich and has abundance of food. Thus, many organisms live in the canopy layer. Understory layer. Understory layer starts from the ground to 20 meters above the ground. The canopy layer blocks the sunlight, thus this layer is not very thick. The lower branches of canopy trees, shrubs, herbs, bushes and other smaller parts of plants are included in the understory layer. Many insects and animals dwell in the understory layer. Forest floor. The forest floor is the ground floor of the forest. The soil here is very fertile and consists of decaying leaves, decaying fruits, etc. And these dead and decaying things are broken down into simpler substances by decomposers, which makes the soil very rich and fertile. The dead and decaying matter which makes the soil fertile is known as humus. This layer is home to many organisms like rabbits, snakes, insects, worms, frogs, etc.
Those are interesting pieces of information.
Independence of plants and animals.
Interdependence of plants on animals. Plants and animals depend on each other for various factors. Plants depend on animal for carbon dioxide. Animals depend on plants for life-giving gas oxygen. Herbivorous animals like deer, etc. depend on plant as the source of food and living. Plants are called producers as they prepare their own food in the process of photosynthesis. Plants are eaten by herbivorous animal which is turned are eaten by carnivores, animal like lion, tiger, etc. Thus, herbivores and carnivores depend on plant as a source of living and are called consumers.
Wow! I never knew these many things. You are really informative.
Food chain. A food chain is formed when one organism eats another organism for food. Plants are called producers as they prepare their own food with the process of photosynthesis. Animals such as grasshopper only depend on grass and plants and are called primary consumers. Frogs eat grasshoppers and other primary consumers. Frogs can't survive without primary consumers and are indirectly dependent on plants and are called secondary consumers. Organisms like snakes eat frogs. Organisms that eat secondary consumers are called tertiary consumers.
Shri Ranjani, can you go a bit more deep into this topic?
Yeah, sure. There are not only one but different types of food chains. For example, animals like bear, wild dog, etc. depend on both plants and animals and are called as omnivores. When these animals die, their bodies are eaten by vultures, hyenas, etc. and are known as in a set of animals called scavengers. Dead plants and animals are decomposed by bacteria and fungi, and they are called as decomposers. These decomposers break down dead matter and increase the soil fertility, and the chain continues. Consumers get their energy from plants as they eat them as food. This is followed by primary and tertiary consumers, omnivores, scavengers, and decomposers. Thus, it gets decomposed and the nutrients is released into the soil, and this cycle continues. This cycle is known as the cycle of nutrition.
Ranjani, it was really amazing.
What is a food web? Food web is a multiple food chain interlinked together. The food web consists of primary and secondary consumers. Now let us see what is the difference between food chain and food web. Food chain, a chain formed when one organism is eaten by another organism as food. Food web, multiple food chain interlinked together.
Dependence of plants on animals. Do you guys know not only animals depend on plants, but plants too depend on animals in various ways, like insects like bees and butterflies collect nectar from flowers and they disperse pollen grains of flowers. This process is called as pollination, and dispersal of pollen grains help in the process of reproduction. After pollination, a new plant grows and produces fruits with seeds. Animals eat these seeds, and some of these seeds stick to their fur. These animals move from one place to another, and the seeds in their body fall out in different places, and some seeds are dropped in animal droppings. This leads to the rise of new plants, and this process is called as dispersal of seeds by animals.
Thanks, Sathvika. I understood your explanation very well. I hope others also like it a lot.
Uses of forest.
I love forests as they are very green. Does anybody know the uses of forests?
Well, I know. So let's look into it. Photosynthesis takes place in all kind of plants, trees and algae in the forest. We know that plants inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. So this process will purify the air.
That's cool.
The loss of water through stomata is called transpiration. Transpiration also helps in keeping the atmosphere cool. Forests also depend on rainfall. Excess water from the trees is given out in the process of transpiration. This water is absorbed into the surrounding in the form of water vapor. In the process of evaporation. Rain-bearing clouds are formed in the process of condensation. These clouds undergo a process called precipitation and form rain. The cycle continues and this keeps the air cool. Now let us look into some preventions. Soil erosion is the removal of top layer of the soil. The top layer of the soil is very fertile and the removal of this layer can cause the land to barren. Soil erosion happens due to the runoff of water and wind. Root of the trees hold the soil together, thereby preventing soil erosion.
I wonder what are uses of forest in our day-to-day life?
I have the solution for it. We humans completely depend on forests for many things like food, honey, medicinal plants and herbs, rubber, timber, spices, firewood, fruits, oil, gum, resins, lactic, perfume, dyes, wood, and etc. They also provide shelter and food to animals.
Oh, we are destroying the forest for our day-to-day life.
I don't have the I don't have much information on it.
I think Shri has some information on it.
Yes, you are right, Akash.
Now let's see how people are destructing the forest.
Destruction of forests. As we saw in purification of air, plants and trees purify our air. Nowadays, people cutting the trees for their uses. This leads to lack of oxygen as trees and plants purify our air. Now, let's learn about deforestation. So, what is deforestation? Deforestation is destruction of large amount of trees. You know what is deforestation. Here comes Akash and Sathvika to talk and explain about it. Let's look into the conversation between Sathvika and Akash.
Forests are indeed very useful, but we have built dams and highways and clearing the forest area to convert them into cultivable and residential land. What can we do if we are destroying our forests?
I know a way to prevent it. We can restore damaged ecosystems by planting trees on land where forests have been cut down, encourage people to live in a way that doesn't hurt the environment, establish parks to protect rainforests and wildlife, support companies that operate in ways that minimize damage to the environment.
Thank you for the solution, Akash. The need for timber and medicinal plants demands increase day by day. This results in smuggling and illegal logging of the precious forest products. How do we stop the illegal activities?
We can encourage the forest stewardship. Among the best solutions to illegal logging management is the promotion of the forest stewardship programs. Stricter regulations on forest management, we people should stop illegal purchases.
That was indeed a good answer. I have another question. Let's see if you can answer that. How do we raise the awareness in our people about the importance of a forest?
Yeah, we can raise awareness by teaching students the importance of forests and organizing clubs for adults where we can explain the use of forests, how forests are getting destroyed, consequences of destructions, and ways to conserve the forests.
Well, I am impressed by your explanation. Akash, do you know I'm going to buy a new wooden furniture? I love wooden objects because they look premium and costly.
Wow, that's great, but it is against the nature, so I'm not telling you to not buy the wooden things. We just have to reduce the wooden things that we use in our day to day life.
Akash, I have one doubt. Can you clear that doubt? So, instead of wood, we are using plastic. So, is it harmful to trees?
Oh, yes, I can clear your doubts. Using plastic is harmful to plants because they do not decompose so easily. Better we stop using it, and it takes hundreds and hundreds of years to degrade. Honestly, your questions are pretty good.
Thank you. Last but not the least, I have one question left. My teacher says that trees prevent landslide. Is that true?
She is right. Trees do prevent landslide by holding the soil together with the help of its roots.
Thank you, Akash.